Talk, fam. Exactly. Where the facts be. I'm speaking right here, so don't at me. Whoa.
And welcome back to another episode. We're back, buddy. Wait, we gotta give it up. There we go. Don't at me. We're back. We're live. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to everyone on Facebook who's tuning into the Megacast group. Shout out to it being Black History Month, and honestly, shout out to us finally being in the new studio.
Yeah, shout out to the world. It's our second time. You know, we had Ashley last time.
We had Ashley,
here,
that's true. This is like the first ushering in of being in the studio and like having things set up. Though,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And we also have our wonderful guest in the studio, Plank. Shout out to Plank.
Shout out to Plank. He's back there. He's a pretty quiet dude, but you know, he's a great friend, so we keep him around.
He seems a little stiff.
Yeah, he's a little stiff tonight.
Just a wee bit. All right, guys, we're going to jump into the first topics tonight, and today is kind of a basketball special. We got the Duke-UNC game going on right now, and we got the unfortunate news that Zion is now out with an injury after going full-on, like, monster through his shoe.
Yeah, hurt his knee, man. Matt, can you imagine paying all that money to see him play in this big game?
You like that $2,500 to $4,000 ticket.
Yeah.
And, like, not even 36 seconds. It was 36 seconds into the game that he's out with an injury.
Yeah, and it's crazy, but it's sports. Things happen, and you just have to, live with it. And I know that Duke is kind of struggling a little right now, but hopefully they can turn it around. You still got two other top 5 prospects with R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish, so.
But, man, hopefully he's all right. Shout out to Big Blue Nation who's going to keep moving up. Let's go, UK!
Yeah.
Wildcats. All right, we got to start off with the NBA today, and we're now doing the second half predictions, man. Post All-Star break, we got to talk about who we think is going to win for MVP. But before we get to that, we're going to go right into our Western and Eastern Conference predictions. Mykell, you want to go first in the West?
Yeah, I can go first. I just want to say that All-Star weekend was whatever.
Dude,
I wasn't too excited about it, but it was whatever. But anything for the NBA is always fun, and J. Cole pretty much had a mini
great
concert.
Show. Why couldn't we have that for the
Super Bowl?
Yeah, exactly, for the Super Bowl. We couldn't give SpongeBob more time than that 3 seconds he had. Why? We literally could have had a Super Bowl.
He needs his own show. We need SpongeBob to have his own Super Bowl performance with J. Cole and guys like that there.
Cue Law and Order bell. Dun dun.
Yeah. But let's get right to it, man. When it comes to the second half of the season, we're really looking at the seedings here, and I'm gonna just go right with it. Number 1 in the West, I'm gonna stick with the Warriors. I just think that they're the Warriors. They're gonna put it together. And they're gonna win a lot of games. The Nuggets have a tough schedule down the end of the stretch, but I just think that OKC's schedule was that much tougher. So Jokic is playing well. IT is back, so he's going to help, and like this break is gonna gave them time to hopefully connect a little more, and hopefully maybe get in a practice here and there. And man, I just see the Nuggets being the number 2 seed. I think the Thunder are the biggest threat to the Warriors when it comes to the West, but they're going to be the 3rd seed. That's in the playoffs. I got the Rockets jumping the Trailblazers. I think CP3 is back. He got time to rest. Those guys are going to be ready to go. The Trailblazers, I have them at number 5. A hell of a series that will be. Dame versus Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And Dame and CJ versus Chris Paul and James will be amazing. I got Utah doing their thing. They're picking it up. I don't see them jumping any of those teams.
Agreed.
Then I got the Lakers, man. I got my Lakers. I think LeBron has already said it. He's in playoff mode already because they're the number 10 seed. I think they're going to jump the Clippers. First, they're going to jump the Kings. They're going to jump the Clippers. And then they're going to jump the Spurs and become that 7th seed. They're only 4 games back right now, so it's not a lot.
Fair.
You go on a good run, and this isn't the same Spurs team. So I see the Spurs being the final team out of the West. You want to give your West seeding?
Okay, so you and I pretty much have a similar view of how the West is going to shake up by the end of it.
Yes.
I'll go down and just kind of give it. I got the Warriors being number 1. I'm not going to count them out. I'm not going to count out Curry. I'm not going to count out Durant. Things are going their way. They added DeMarcus Cousins. They're looking good. All-Star breaks come and gone. Things are good for them, right?
Yep.
Then I got OKC actually jumping Denver. Even though OKC technically has the toughest schedule remaining down the stretch, right?
Yeah.
I still think that the combination of 1A, 1B, 2, however you want to describe it, the two punches of Westbrook and Paul George, two players who are debatably MVP candidates, one of which is one of the best offensive and defensive players in the NBA right now, averaging the team high in steals, and also I think it's the league high in steals in Paul George. And then on the other end, you have a guy who's averaging a triple-double in Westbrook. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to doubt that.
And then everyone say he took a step back. If you take a step back to a triple-double,
dude, that's the thing.
That's a hell of a step back.
But you and I talked about it. It's like it's a slight step. It's not 1 to 2. It's 1A to 1B.
Yeah.
Right?
It can go either game. The last game before the break, Russell had 42.
That's the thing that this is the guy that is better for Westbrook to play with than Kevin Durant.
They're a poor man's Pippen and Jordan.
No.
Almost.
So once they have the rings, we can discuss that.
Poor man's.
Then I have Denver at third. I think they've been steady all season. Adding Isaiah Thomas back is going to be just an added boost for them. Although they fall below Oklahoma City, I think that they're still a very well-suited team. And Jokic, I'm in awe at this man. This guy doesn't look like a basketball player, yet plays better than 90% of the dudes in the league, right?
Yeah. He's my top 5 in my MVP.
Yeah. Then I have Houston jumping Portland because, adding CP3 back, it makes a difference. Bringing Capella back, integrating Kenneth Faried, and having Eric Gordon, just having the team back and healthy, and on top of that, adding Kenneth Faried, that's the best deal that's been... He is the best midseason signing I've seen in years, and I've said this numerous times already, but adding him into the mix makes a big difference. So I got Houston jumping. Portland, I have sliding, but they're that team to me that's always a second round and out team just because that's who they are. They're like the mid-2000s Atlanta Hawks when they had Joe Johnson, Marvin Williams, Mike Bibby, and it was, I think
Al Horford was there.
Yeah, Al Horford was there.
I agree.
Then I have the Jazz, like you. I have the Spurs right after that. I'm not going to count out Popovich. I'm going to leave him there. And then the tiebreaker for me, because the Clippers are going to fall out of the playoffs, is going to be between the Kings and Los Angeles. And I'll put it like this. I want the Lakers to make the playoffs. You know why?
Why?
I want that Kings pick to be good for the Celtics because they got that pick this year. So, plus I also want to see the Lakers in the playoffs. They deserve it. And the NBA, the narrative of the NBA is they don't want LeBron missing the playoffs. So, LeBron's going to make the playoffs this year. So, that's my rundown in the West.
The Kings are playing well. They're a young team to look out for with Marvin Bagley, De'Aaron Fox. They got some talent out there. I just don't think they're going to be.
They're not
ready to be a playoff team. But just imagine that first round series if the Lakers do make that run to make the playoffs. Them and Golden State if they're number 8. Lakers, Golden State, but they want to try to get to 7. And if they can face Denver, anything's possible.
If they play OKC,
KG said it.
If they play OKC, though, in my predictions, they'd play OKC if they're 7.
Yeah.
That would be a problem.
Yeah, it'd be tough. So they want to try to get to that 6th seed, but I'm just not. I'm not buying. I think they're too far back, and we have to see. We have to see how they look Thursday, starting Thursday.
You own those drugs if you think they're going to make it to the 6th spot.
They get Rockets coming back. Who do they have to catch? Utah.
They have to catch Utah. They have to catch the Clippers and the Spurs.
Yeah, you never know.
And the Kings.
But like I said, I have them 7th. I don't think they catch Utah.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
Let's go to the East.
So when it comes to the East, I like how it's looking now. I got Milwaukee. I think that they're a great team built for the season.
Okay.
With Giannis over there being the great player that he is, and Bledsoe and Brogdon and those guys playing well. The Toronto Raptors, of course. Both of these teams have pretty easy schedules down the stretch.
Yep.
So it's going to be very, very close, very tight. But I think that the Bucks will beat them out. Celtics, I have them moving up. I have them moving up to the 3rd. Just because I have them the 3rd seed don't mean that I think they're the 3rd best team in the East, because the team that I believe is better and will perform better in the playoffs, that has the best starting lineup other than the Warriors, is the Sixers. I have them coming in the 4th. So that means I have the Pacers falling apart and have them moving to the 5th slot. I like the Nets. I like what D'Angelo is doing out there. with Mr. Shot Blocker, Mr. Jared Allen. Then I like Miami. I like Miami to be there at 7th. I just think that Spoelstra is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, I gotta give it to him.
Yeah, it's D-Wade's last season, so they're going to try to get that extra push to get him some extra basketball. And then I got Detroit. I got Charlotte falling out. I got Blake Griffin and Drummond and those guys, Reggie Jackson, fighting it out and getting into that final and 8th spot, man. So how about yourself?
All right. You and I literally have the exact same rundown until the very end. Bucks number 1, Toronto 2, Celtics at 3, Philly at 4, Pacers 5, Nets 6. But then, where we differ, I have the Hornets staying at 7th, even though they have the second toughest schedule going down the stretch. I think that Kemba Walker is still a legit star and can push them to where they stay afloat.
He's legit, but he's not that great to beat this tough schedule. They played the Warriors twice, Raptors twice in Milwaukee and Boston, so that's.
I'm still rooting for him. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'm hoping too. I'm hoping Kemba. I would love to see him in the playoffs and break some ankles in the playoffs. That'd be amazing.
And then I'm bouncing Detroit. I love Dwayne Casey. I have the utmost respect for him, but I'm bouncing him for the Miami Heat, and Dwayne Wade gets one last dance, like he said, like you said as well. He makes the playoffs. They give him an extra extra time to play, and they don't go far, but he at least gets to go to the playoffs in his last year.
Yeah, hey, but don't sleep on Detroit basketball.
I'm sleeping on Detroit. I'm
telling you, Blake doesn't want to miss the playoffs, so he's going to make sure that his guys are ready for this stretch run of these 25 games. So
you better be ready to miss the playoffs.
I like your list though. I can't. It's
okay. Respect.
I like it. It's respect there.
All right.
Like it.
So we've done our seedings.
Yep.
East and West. We got to talk about something very important.
Especially to James Harden. Something very vital, something very
what
big
matters
time.
Most to him as opposed to
what it seems like remember early in the year when he was holding up 2, like I'm about to get 2 of them. But so if you don't know, we're talking about the MVP award. So we just broke down and gave you our teams that are going to be in the playoffs and the seeding. Now we want to tell you our MVPs and our rankings for them. I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay, so I'm going to go from 3, 2, and then 1, all right?
Okay.
Third on my MVP voting list, and we'll get into this after because you and I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Is James Harden. Okay? James is my third. Second, and mind you, this is if the NBA ends today.
Yeah,
okay? Second is PG-13. Okay? And first is the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, I agree. Ours is pretty similar. For me, I have Giannis as my MVP, and that's right now of the season end and at the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that
he's solidified it.
I think him averaging 27, 13, and 5, playing good defense. I always look at what people rank and talk about teams before the season, and that's why I have him over Harden, who I have as number 2, is because we thought the Rockets would be top 2 or 3 seed in the West, and they're probably not going to be there. And we thought Milwaukee would be anywhere from 5 to 7 or 4 to 7, and they're the number 1 record in the NBA.
Dude, he's made Chris Middleton an all-star.
Yeah.
He's made their team that much better to where Eric Bledsoe's averaging 15 points. Brogdon's averaging 15 points. Brooke Lopez is a 3-point specialist now.
Hey, bro.
That entire team.
He has us talking about the Milwaukee Bucks.
100%.
They haven't been a big-time franchise since
Ray.
And not even with Ray, because they were never this good. They were close, but they were never this good. But not since Lou Alcindor.
Yeah.
And the big Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But so I have Giannis as my MVP. I have Harden as number 2, and the reason why he's number 2 is just because the MVP award is based off of narrative, and because of his narrative, if he didn't have Paul, Capella went down. 31 points, 31 times straight with 30 points. I think that's going to push him ahead of George, who's playing amazing, who right now is the best two-way guy. I saw Skip Bayless say earlier that he believes that he's going to end up being the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year award. Yeah. And I think that the Defensive Player of the Year award will be his. That would be like his constellation. And yeah, so that's my 3. So we got the same 3 guys. I think Jokic has to get some respect. I know
he does.
Some people have Steph in front of him, but I think that Steph has KD and those guys with him, where Jokic is the man, a big man scoring 20, 10, can dish out 10 assists.
The fact that we're talking about
Denver, yeah,
and them being the 2nd seed.
Last time we talked about Denver seriously was when Kobe was in Denver.
Yeah,
because of his little accident. But not trying to. Not trying to talk about us. Mr. Bryant. You are the GOAT, Kobe Bryant. But
look, you said it best. Honestly, the writers and the Associated Press write the narrative of who wins the MVP. They follow the narrative from the season's beginning. That's why last year people always said James Harden was the people's MVP, and people on the inside and players knew Bron was the MVP, averaging career high numbers on career low minutes in a year where they were the 4th seed, albeit, but his team was driven to the 4th seed, and on top of that, driven to the Eastern Conference Finals, then to the finals because of it. And although we don't count the playoffs for the MVP, he still set them up to be that good going down the stretch. Like, James Harden is a great player. I love watching him. He's an Instagram highlight reel player, though. He's not made the Rockets.
He's a street ball player.
He is. He's a street ball player who's literally getting his own in the NBA, which is great to see. I love watching street ball basketball. That's what it's about.
What he's doing in the NBA is what he does every summer at the Drew when he stops by.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see, but it's just like he shouldn't be the MVP this year.
He shouldn't.
You know?
And that's the problem. That's the problem with this narrative. Like, players and coaches, like we've said, should have a say in who wins the MVP.
Yeah, so I always tell people that I always believe that when it comes to awards, period, the awards should be chosen by a vote of players,
100%.
Of coaches, GMs, and of writers, and you put the 4 together, and that should decide, because, like, it's no way that you could say, yeah, he's playing amazing, his numbers are insane, but he has such a high usage rate. His team, like I stated earlier, isn't winning as much as everyone expected them to be. Right now, I think they are the 5th seed. The 5th seed in the West. And you have a guy like Giannis who's putting up amazing numbers, and his team is number 1, to where it's like, you know, it's kind of, I guess you could say, like the Kobe, Steve Nash comparison. But the reason why I would say Kobe back then was the fact that Kobe wasn't playing with any talent. You didn't expect the Lakers to win.
Won one of those.
Yeah, you didn't expect the Lakers to win. And Steve Nash's numbers weren't 27, 13, 5 assists. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just, you have to take it out of the hands of the writers. They're looking for the great stories. So
and that's what sucks, because don't get me wrong, Harden is a great player, like you said.
No, I agree.
But there's been a man that's averaging a triple-double for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
That won the MVP once. And to me, like, I would have given it, honestly, to Westbrook last year for doing it again, even though the team was going through a lot of turmoil. Like, you don't see that.
Yeah.
You don't see that. And this year, his teammate is elevating the team to being literally what I believe to be the 2nd best in the West.
Team in the West, yeah. And for a guy to continue to average a triple-double, if you're just going to talk numbers, you will have to put Russ up there with guys like Harden, you know, when it comes to the MVP race. But if you're going to talk about numbers and impact, that's when you have to look at it. Like, how are you impacting your team? And, yeah, they won a lot. Of course, they played pretty well, the Rockets, without CP3. But with CP3 back, they're 4-4 because they're still trying to play this ball. And you have to look at standings have to be something, because it is a team game.
It is.
We talk about rings and all that stuff, and the only rings you can get during the season is wins. So you have to look at that. So that's why take it from the writers. The players should be able to have input. The coaches, the GMs, because they know more about exactly what's going on. You can't have some old guy sitting there just because he might have a bias towards a certain player and not give someone an MVP. It should be these other guys who are around this stuff every day that can tell you this guy is the best player this year in the NBA. And that's why it needs to be taken out of writers' hands, and it should be involving writers, players, GMs, and coaches.
Welcome to the NBA, man. It's just rough.
Yeah, that's for all sports pretty much. Other than the Mahomes thing, of course they got that right.
Get out of here with this whole Patrick Mahomes like bandwagon
they got that
stuff.
Right, but I think that these athletes that play the game need to have input on these awards.
All right, well, today to round out today's show, we're going to go into our last portion of the show. Mykell, you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, so as you guys know, Alex stated earlier in the show, and everyone should know that it's Black History Month, and it's a time that we celebrate blacks, African Americans of the country and the history of the people, and just we have to look at their impact. We're a sports talk show. We're here to bring you sports and just the impact that they have brought to sports from the past to now and then the future. You have guys like Zion coming up, things like that. And then, you have guys in history like Ali, Jim Brown, Abdul-Jabbar, Magic, who's had a major impact on the world. Michael Jordan, guys like that, LeBron James of today. And it's crazy how all of it is tied in to race, how sports can pretty much stop racism, as far as when you're on the court or on the field playing or whatever sport you're playing at, it kind of goes out the window.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing sports, you don't see race. So if I'm on the court with and I'm playing basketball, I'm on the field and I'm a quarterback and I see a wide open guy, and if I somehow can notice it's my Arabic teammate, I'm still going to throw him the ball if I know that he can catch the ball, because hey, it's a sport and I'm trying to win. I don't look and say if I'm on the court, oh, let me drive and kick. Oh, it's a white guy open, I'm not going to pass it to him. Where's the black guy? No. If you can hoop, you can hoop. Or if you can play whichever sport, you can play. So it's like it throws racism out the window. It brings everyone together.
Look what it's done with us.
Yeah.
You and I are sitting here today.
Yeah, so that's something that sports does. You think about the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson story and how it brought those guys together even to this day. And I just wanted to talk about when did, as an individual, and I'm going to give my story as well, as far as to get past racism through sports, like when did it happen for you?
Admittedly, I grew up here in Beverly Hills, and the idea of racism didn't play a big role because I wasn't exposed to people who had that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
The memory that you and I discussed before doing the show was, I'm on the courts in high school. I didn't play basketball, and admittedly because I was too nervous to try out for the team, and I was also a band geek, right? But every day at lunch, I would be playing ball in the gym with all the guys that I knew. And literally, I was one of maybe two white dudes. It was a bunch of, we had two Asian dudes. We had a couple of Arabic dudes. We had a couple Israeli dudes, a bunch of black dudes. It was a bunch of people that we were just playing ball with. There was no it's the Latino guy, I'm not going to pass him. Or it's the black dude, I'm not going to pass him. No, like you said, if you can ball, you can ball. And I've made some of my closest friends through sports. And that's what it's about. I told you before when I was in Lexington, part of the reason why I got into sports broadcasting is because I would hang out at a barbershop. Shout out to Fade's Barbershop, all the guys out there, G, Frank, and Rod, and talk sports with them for 3-4 hours. I even did a show out of there. And that's really what got me involved and wanted me to be in sports broadcasting.
Yeah.
Not just as a fan, but because, I could talk it. I knew it. I played it.
Yeah.
Maybe not at a great level, but I could talk it. And it's the stuff like that shows you sports really doesn't keep you in it. Sports throws away lenses that culture can provide or background can provide. So you and I were talking before, I'm a white Jewish dude, you're a black dude, and we came together and we're talking about sports.
And we're working together and grinding, and we know that it's still racism going on in this world. It's different ways that segregation is still being used, whether it's on TV, whether it's in hidden agendas and things as such. But it seems that when it comes to sports and playing sports, that everything with racism and negativity that can bring is just out the window, because you just connect. I can remember me being a guy from South Central. I grew up first of all, I grew up playing most of my sports with not only blacks but Hispanics as well. So it kind of took that away. But when it comes to playing with, white Americans, it was like, for me, it first happened when I was in the 8th grade playing Park League basketball. And I had some teammates that were, two white kids. And it was my first time really connected with any white kids because I went to school with mostly blacks, Hispanics, Asians, and Pacific Islanders. And at first it was kind of awkward. I'm just like, I don't know how they're going to play. And, they're a little different than I am. But the main focus was how they played. And once we got on the court, and I'm like, dang, this guy can knock down shots. Yeah, one of the guys sucked, so that's why he wasn't going to get the ball. But the other kid he could shoot, and he can play. So it was like I respected him with that. So that brought us, made us cool as friends. So as a kid, we talked about toys and our favorite basketball players. But it just deaded that any type of racism. And I don't know what background he came from, and he didn't know what background I came from, but it just took away. It didn't matter because that's what's so lovely and great about sports is no matter what's your race, your ethnicity, if it's different, your religion, whether you're gay or straight, is that sports is something that brings unity. It brings togetherness because your main objective and goal is to do what? And that's win. And
you got to do it as a team.
And have to do it as a team unless you're playing golf or tennis or something like that.
Or James Harden style basketball.
You just need yourself and a whole bunch of dribbles and step back, 5-step step backs to shoot threes. But yeah, it's just it just brings togetherness, man. And I kind of hate that there's a Black History Month. I think that Black history should be history, period, and it's something for all ethnicities and races that it should be a history for all that's taught throughout the year. But since this is Black history and we're just talking about, this situation and it's just how it brings us together, and it's dope that it brought us together.
Yeah.
You see other people on TV that are different races. It's just the power of sports, the togetherness that it brings. And I watch on NBA TV, they had their open court, and they were talking. It was an old episode. They talked about this similar topic, and just realizing that damn, sports really can knock down all these walls, Mr. Trump. It can knock down all these walls, and just bring that togetherness and closeness. And man, sports is a beautiful thing because of it.
I mean, two things I want to point out are what's crazy for me to think about and comprehend is that if this was 50, 60 years ago, you and I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, we wouldn't be in this room. Yeah, true.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And it's weird to think that it's okay, I get that there are people that have this mindset, but trying to comprehend it from me trying to comprehend it, right? That you're going to hate someone because of their color, their skin, or their sexual identity, or their preference, whatever it might be. I don't get it. Mm-hmm. And I said this to you before the show, but me being Jewish, okay? Now, I'm not saying this is everyone, but me personally, my people have been persecuted for years, just as African Americans have, or Native Americans here. Americans took their land, right? Yeah. I, as a Jewish male, can't understand how people can be persecuted in any way, shape, or form for who they are, and don't believe that they should. And I don't believe that there is any reason to, because my people have gone through it, just as other groups of people have gone through it. And my job as being one of those members of that tribe, if you will, right? They always say with Judaism, you're a member of the tribe. There is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't help and stand up for those individuals, because if your people went through it, you always pay it forward to help out those who are struggling as well.
Yeah, true.
That's just being a human is trying to prevent those from suffering through the things you have. And if it means doing the smallest things for standing up for someone that is being persecuted in any way, shape, or form, or standing up for something that you believe in, blatantly standing up for the fact that Black Lives Matter, which should be a fucking understood thing by this point. No, honestly, it should be understood.
You shouldn't have to do anything like that. Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any sectors. It should be the fact that
human beings living life, and that's what sports does. It lets you see that we're all, when you look at sports, you're looking at athletes.
Exactly.
You don't care if you're a black athlete, if you're a white athlete. We just care if you're good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you have a guy like Pat Mahomes who is biracial, that we just looking at how good he is. Whether if he was white or black, if he sucked, he sucked. If he's good, he's good. And that's why I think sports is such a big thing to this country, to this world, because it knocks down like that wall of racism that's still present
It is.
in this country and in this world, and that, man, you can just connect through it, and that's why it's such a lovely thing, man.
See, I always say, well, that was the camera.
Yeah.
That was the camera that just turned off.
Oh, damn.
Well, we still got the audio,
Yeah,
and we still got people on Facebook Live.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I guess the last thing that I'll leave it with is like the one thing that I always harp on. Okay, so I experienced this in Lexington, Kentucky. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that it's Lexington. I'm saying there are people in other places that have these mindsets, and it just so happened where I was when I was going to school, I experienced this. There was a guy who was being homophobic. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I said to him, you know, when you're up at night, and you're lying in bed, does the thought of someone, either a male or a female, kissing another male or female, does a guy kissing another guy keep you up? Does a girl kissing another girl keep you up? Like,
Yeah.
are you unable to sleep? And if they say no, you're like, well, then why the fuck does it have to be a problem for you?
Yeah,
Why is
yeah,
that?
true.
Why do you have the right to tell someone to do what they want to do when that's not your life at all? There's no issue. And it's the same thing with a race. Like, you should have zero right to tell someone what they can and can't do.
People just want everybody to fit a certain status quo, and if they don't fit it, they want to find problems with them. So that's just how that works. But man, we thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Don't At Me with Mykell and Alex.
This episode went a little bit overtime because the camera's gone off, but you got the audio right now, and we'll get you some B-roll for that stuff too.
Yeah, and it just got that real. So we had to make sure we discuss this type of topic because it's something very vital. Because there's kids right now that are growing up in different neighborhoods that may not be playing with these different race people, to where they're going to experience this and need to know that, hey, it's sports. Have fun. Enjoy whoever you play with, no matter where they come from. Just enjoy playing that sport because it's a privilege. And, hey, got to kill racism somehow, some way. Me and Alex are already doing so with a show like this. And, man, we continue to push forward,
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you again for tuning in. This has been another episode of Don't At Me. Mykell, give them your Instagram.
Man, Mykell the PG. Make sure you guys follow. Man, like videos, comment, whatever you want to do, man. It's Mykell the PG.
And don't forget to check out at Hymes World on Instagram, HYMESWRLD. And don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos. This is Alexander Hymes on YouTube. And don't worry, soon enough we'll be getting a channel of our own.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Plank.
Yeah, Plank in the building. Thank you for coming. He's still a little silent. He's a little camera shy. But, man, hey, Don't At Me. Mykell, Alex. We just gave you an amazing episode. Gotta love it.
Peace.
He's a little stiff.
Yeah, he's still a little camera shy. Damn, so how we gonna do that?
What?
With it dying?
Oh, it cut off at the 30-minute mark.
Oh, okay.
So it's just the last 2 minutes.
Damn, because we couldn't even close it out. How you gonna, when we put it on YouTube?
I'll add something at the end that says something, or I might supplement with the footage from this.
Oh, that'd be fire. Yeah, put it from there and just having us continue it.
What's today's date?
Today is the
20th.
20th.
Oh crap, we're still live on Facebook?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Mega Cast, yo, how you guys doing? I hope you guys enjoy, man. We want to not only just talk sports, but go a little deep, man. It's just, that's a little weird, but we just wanted to, talk about, something, impact of, race and sports, and how sports can bring people together and of all races. If I go to a Chief game, I don't give a damn if
Fuck the Chiefs.
If you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Native American, Pacific Islander, alien.
You can't say alien now. We're in Trump America. That's fucked up.
No, I'm talking about the green
I know,
guys. Yeah,
the green guys.
The green guys.
Hey, you are characterizing aliens. How dare you
No,
assume they look?
But yeah, the guys like Thanos and guys like that. But Gamora. But yeah, sports can make none of that matter because we're all cheering for the Chiefs or Lakers, and we're at the game jumping up and celebrating if our team wins, and that's the greatness of sports, and that's why I try to, you know, talk to people. And I don't have kids yet, but when I do have kids, I'm going to make sure that they're in sports because it helps you defeat racism. And then you have
You want water?
togetherness. No, I left my water.
No, right there.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna grab one. But yeah,
Okay, I gotta point out one thing.
Yeah.
All right, this isn't deep at all.
okay.
Look at the screen. I literally look like an angel with this shirt on, like the type of angels you see
No,
on TV.
you got that heavenly glow. you shining bright. Shine bright like a diamond. Hey, personal jinx.
That's gonna be a freaking clip.
Yeah, that's funny right there.
All right, Megacast.
Hey, Mykell, thanks for checking us out.
Talk fam, exactly. Where the facts be. I'm speaking right here, so don't at me. Whoa.